A Quiet Place was something that the world had never seen before. It was raw and new. It was a global phenomenon, and everyone followed the insanely traumatizing adversaries that the Abbott family went through throughout the movie. Silently, the third movie will be nothing but excitement. Will the Abbott family and the other survivors be able to defeat the creatures? Or will they succumb to the horrifying evil that is the Death Angels? Before we get into the details of the third movie, let us discuss the success the first movie had and how it influenced the success of the second movie and the creation of the third one. One of the factors of the success of the movie is probably the unique plot and plot devices it used throughout the movie. The film shows the life of the Abbott family in an extremely weird post-apocalyptic world, wherein the world was infested with blind monsters who hunt their prey using their overly sensitive hearing. With the way these monsters hunt their food, the family and practically the whole world are under great danger, because as simple as making a quaint voice would put them at great risk. The plot was entirely new to the people back then, and it was safe to say that the movie captured its viewers with its unique plot, intense thrill, and amazing cast. The first movie became highly critical and commercially successful, with a box office hit of over $340 million worldwide. With its success, it was a no-brainer that you should hit that like button if you haven't done so already. But jokes aside, a second movie is indeed in the works, and after the pandemic has completely forced the world to halt, the second movie was released, and to everyone's delight, the sequel has managed to be a worthy successor to its first movie. The second movie tags the viewers along the Abbott family as they try to widen their horizons, as well as look for a way to kill these monsters that have been ruling over the seemingly godforsaken world they live in. With a box office hit of almost $300 million, it was no denying that the movie had once again captured the attention of the world, which is why the production of its third movie is already up on the table. With the confirmation of its third movie, the world is already at the tip of its seats, waiting for it to be released. Curious as to what happens now to the Abbott family and how they will once again overcome the adversaries they are in. Everyone is already looking forward to the third installation of the now horror trilogy. The thing here is that despite the success of the two previous movies, the third movie will be different from the two, both in terms of content and tenure. The first movie, A Quiet Place, was created in a mellow and contained manner. The movie was solely focused on the Abbott family and how they managed to stay alive and together within the four walls of their home, and how they hope to survive the immensely monstrous monster that disrupts their world. In other words, the movie was simple, just about the survival of the family. But as they venture out into the world outside their comfort in the second movie, A Quiet Place Part 2, the family is seen as very vulnerable and susceptible to danger as they face the monsters on their own. However, with the idea that Reagan's hearing aids can weaken the creatures and create vulnerabilities for them, fighting off the monsters seems possible and reachable for the family. The second movie showcased how the whole family strategized and figured out how they could survive, and at the same time, put an end to all of the madness that's surrounding them. At the end of the movie, Reagan is seen braving her way to a radio station to materialize their plan to broadcast the feedback from her hearing aids to the whole district. With that cliffhanging ending, there is no other route for the third place but to showcase the goal of the family in the reign of the monsters for good. Now that the possible plot of the third movie is out there, in what way would this change everything about the trilogy? As stated earlier, the first and second movies were mostly about the survival of the family throughout the horror around them. But this time, in the third movie, we might witness an action-packed finale wherein we get to see more of the family's strength and honed abilities, which were already shown in the second movie. In the second movie, we got to see the children grow as they gather the strength and bravery that would later on save their parents' lives. With the knowledge the family and other survivors have about the creatures, the third movie will proceed full of action. This will be a notable change of focus from the first and second movies, which were focused more on the survival of the family. In simpler terms, the third movie will have one thing that the previous movies do not have: noise. To be honest, this was already a possible plot even before the announcement of the third movie. Some would say this is concerning given that the biggest factor in the success of the previous movies was their ability to incorporate tension and action within silence. But with that, the series has prepared the audience for the loud sequences of the third movie. If anything, this is such a good transition that was only possible with how the story was told and how the world was built in The Quiet Place Part 1 and 2. The idea of the third movie seems so exciting, and for sure, the world cannot wait for its release date. But prior to the release of the third movie, there will be a spin-off dedicated to the creatures that will serve as a prequel for the A Quiet Place trilogy. The movie will be named A Quiet Place Day 1, and this was actually confirmed by Paramount Pictures themselves during the CinemaCon in Las Vegas earlier this year. So pretty legit, you guys. The spin-off will be about the origin story of how the creatures came into the world and wreaked havoc on Earth through hunting by sound. The original cast of the first two movies will probably not be in this one, as the setting of the movie dates to the first appearance of these monsters. The movie will be directed by Michael Sarnowski in replacement for Jeff Nichols, who was previously appointed as the movie's director but dropped out from it. Fun fact, the idea for the spinoff was actually by no other than our favorite dad, John Krasinski, the director of the previous movies. And yet, despite that, he decided not to direct this one and give the helm to another director. The movie is said to be released within 2023, 2 years earlier than the expected release of A Quiet Place Part 3. What a generous gift for the fans of the series! They will not have to wait that long in order to see more of the film. Now, for the production details of A Quiet Place Part 3. John Krasinski has already got plans for it. According to his real-life wife and on-screen Emily Blunt, Krasinski has plotted a whole arch of ideas for the third movie. Given that Krasinski has directed the past movies, it would be a no-brainer that you should hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. But also, yes, Krasinski will be back in the directing chair as the head of the film's production. And of course, he would also be in camera as Lee Abbott. With regards to the cast in this one, aside from Krasinski, Emily Blunt, Millicent Simmonds, and Noah Jupe will be back as their respective characters as Evelyn, Reagan, and Marcus. Another character that would probably be back is Cillian Murphy as Emmett, who was seen during the second movie and has developed a fatherly bond with Reagan and was a vital part in her success in the end. More details will soon unfold between our eyes during its release in 2025, so stay tuned. And that is a wrap. That was something worth waiting for, and for sure you would see more in the upcoming videos. Suffice to say, I'm screaming for A Quiet Place 3. But aren't we all? See you in the next video.